It's time. Has the meeting been posted?
Yes, it has.
All right.
Commission will now convene the meeting of the License Commission for Thursday, May 22nd, 6:30 PM. Commission wish to review, comment on the minutes for the meeting of May the 8th.
I make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Approved.
Commission will now take up the matter to do with special events permits, applications for amplified outdoor public entertainment from Enterprise Bank, Ken LaValle representative, for Tuesday, June 3rd, from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The event is the Enterprise Bank Retirement Party to be held in the parking lot adjacent to the bank at 222 Merrimack Street. There's a request for a sound system to amplify music. Also, a second application from Enterprise Bank, Ken LaValle representative, for Thursday, June 26th, with a rain date request of Friday, June 27th. The hours being 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The event is a customer appreciation cookout to be held in the parking lot adjacent to the bank at 222 Merrimack Street. Also a request for sound system for disc jockey. There is a third application from Centerville Community Coalition, Sandy McNamara representative, for Tuesday, August 5th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. The event is the National Night Out at St. Louis School to be held on the grounds of the St. Louis School at 77 Beauvais Street. A request for sound system for outdoor movie, public address. An application from the Athenian Corner Restaurant and Lounge, Inc., Ted Panagiotis, representative, for a period starting May through September 2014. The hours limited by the city ordinance, to be held in the enclosed private parking lot adjacent to the restaurant at 207 Market Street. Request for sound system for musicians, band on the patio. Also, amplification permit request from the Jackson Appleton Middlesex Business and Residents Association, Karen Bell representative, for Wednesday, June 11th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. The event is the Jamboree with Lowell Community Charter School performances to be held on Jackson Street and Appleton Mills Courtyard. Request for sound system for music. There is an application from the corporation known as ATP Restaurant, Inc., doing business as Cobblestones. Robin E. Dupel is the representative, in conjunction with the Lowell Folk Festival, starting with Friday, July 25th, Saturday, July 26th, Sunday, July 27th. The hours for the sound system for band and/or disc jockey, which are not to interfere with the festival venues in the area near to the outdoor site of Cobblestones at 91 Dutton Street. Also, from the Holy Ghost Society, there are 5 applications for amplification permits. Olympio Brazil is the representative. This is the outdoor grounds at Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street. Request for sound system for music for the following events. The scheduled Brazilian show for Sunday, June 1st, from 12 noon to 10 p.m. A 2-day Holy Trinity Feast, which is Saturday, June 14th, and Sunday, June 15th. The hours for Saturday are 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. The Sunday hours are 12 noon to 10 p.m. And also for the St. John Feast for Saturday, June 21st, from 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. And also the St. John Feast for Sunday, June 22nd, from 12 noon to 10 p.m., and that's the applications for amplification permits.
Would each of you just please give us your name and your address clearly, and then we'll get down to the...
Kenneth LaValle from Enterprise Bank, 222 Merrimack Street in Lowell.
Thank you.
Sandra McNamara, President of Centerville Coalition for Community
you.
Coalition, sorry.
Robin Dupel Cobblestones, 91 Dutton Street.
Karen Bell, 80 Middlesex Street, Lowell, Mass.
Teddy Panagitopoulos, 207 Market Street.
Olympia Brazil, 65 Village Street, Holy Ghost Society.
How many of you have had a license before? Put your hand up. Okay, thank you.
Have we done a background check on Mr. LaValle yet, or, no? No?
You should be clean, I
I
think.
think so.
I think you all understand that the important thing is that you have fun, but you don't disturb the neighbors. So we'll be expecting you to pay attention. I can't imagine getting in trouble, but it's important that you be able to contact the police quickly if there is some problem.
We've never had any problems with anything. We'd make a motion to approve all licenses.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much. Have
Luck.
fun. Good luck.
Several of you,
Is it all invited August 5th?
Thank you.
several of you have also applications for alcohol beverages, starting with the special one-day license application to sell or dispense all alcoholic beverages from Olympia, Brazil of the Holy Ghost Society for 65 Village Street. He's filed applications for the following events: the St. Joan Queen Pageant for Saturday, May 24th, 6 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Also for the Fados Night, Sunday, May 25th, from 3 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. The Brazilian Show for Sunday, June 1st, 12 noon to 10 p.m. The Pentecost Dinner, Sunday, June 8th, from 12 noon to 10 p.m. The Holy Trinity Feast, Saturday, June 14th, from 3 p.m. to 12 midnight. The Holy Trinity Feast for Sunday, June 15th, from 12 midnight to 10:30 p.m. And the St. John Feast for Saturday, June 21st, from 3 p.m. to 12 midnight. And Sunday, June 22nd, the St. John Feast from 12 noon to 10:30 p.m. All of these applications are for all alcoholic beverages.
I have one over here, is for Sunday, May 25. Is possible to cancel that license because the people don't come to do the show.
You want to cancel
Yes, please.
May 25th? Okay.
This one is the Sunday, May 25.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
you've had a license before, yes?
Yes.
Any problems?
No.
They've always done a very good job there. Commissioner Craig, I make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Commission will now take up applications for dispense malt beverages and wine only, or either one, for special one day. Karen Bell of the Jackson Appleton Middlesex Business Residents Association for Wednesday, June 11th, from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. The event is a jamboree to be held on the Jackson Street and Appleton Mills Courtyard.
Thank you. Karen Bell, 80 Middlesex Street, Lowell, Mass. And I am respectfully withdrawing this application for a one-day liquor license.
Any questions?
No?
Thanks.
Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Gerard Bizance here? Thank you. Gerard Bizance at the Image Theater, Inc. for Thursday, June 19th, from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The event is the Mill City Shorts, a short film night locally produced at Mill Number 5, 250 Jackson Street, which is the 4th floor. Members of the commission, Mr. Bizance and I had a conversation with respect to his access to the 4th floor of Mill Number 5, and I pointed out to him that there is a certificate of inspection that's been temporarily issued for that location from the Office of Developmental Services, and it's due to be renewed.
Yeah, at the end of this
And
month.
the renewal date would be before this scheduled event of June 19th that Mr. Bizance has filed an application for a beer and wine license. So should the commission look upon this favorably, might want to consider the fact that at the time of the date of the event, as it stands right now, there would be no certificate of inspection. So we're presuming that it's going to be, otherwise, we would just wish to continue it if you wish.
You've had a license before, Mr. Bezant?
Yes, we do. And as a matter of fact, we're also insured, and we put them on our list of insured, the Appleton Mills people.
Have you personally had a license?
I have never, no, this is my first time ever.
This is your
trying
first time?
to- Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And we've done events at the Whistler House and things like that in the
Sure.
past, but yeah.
All right, so you understand that you were the one who's going to be personally responsible for this license?
Absolutely, absolutely,
And
yes.
you can't pass it on. Has Mr. Nguyen told you that you have to buy?
Yes, I got the list of the beverage providers here, and I already made some, I'd like to use the Lowell, the Enlightenment Ales Company out of Lowell, because I figure, it's a local beverage and give them a little business. So I sent them a letter. They haven't gotten back to me yet, but I will
You've
pursue
got
that.
a non-911 phone number on your cell phone for the police.
Yes, I do.
How many people we anticipate being at your event?
I've never done this before. This is the first time we're ever doing a short film festival. It's kind of cool. We're doing, short films by local filmmakers. I'm probably thinking about 60 to 80 people.
Right.
Yeah.
In lieu of the anticipation of getting the certificate, I would make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You still need the certificate.
Yes,
And Ryan will give you the,
Right. I talked to them. Now, do I personally have to get the certificate, or do they, that building? has to-
The landlord, if you will, needs to follow through with the Office of Developmental Services, which is my understanding that there has been communication with
Right.
the office.
Yeah, I talked to Sarah, who works in the office, and she said she's doing that, but I will follow up and make sure she does it.
So we may want to hold off on issuing any license until we know for certain that the certificate's been issued. I know you have an element of time for ordering your alcohol, and
Yep.
and I don't want to put you in a financial bind by placing the order and then finding we can't
Yeah.
issue the license because,
Well, I'll press them tomorrow again. I'll just continue to press them to get that done. Is it just them appearing before you, or just contacting you?
well, I'll need to issue to you the license based on the commission's action
Okay.
just now, but it's under the condition that the certificate of inspection be reinstated for that, in time for that event.
All right, I'll make darn sure that they do
Your
that.
contact at mill number 5 should understand that you have a obligation to order your alcohol through a state licensed distributor.
Right.
And placing an order doesn't just happen in 24 hours.
No, I know, I got to move on it. Okay. I
cut
appreciate
into
it.
the chase, no certificate, no license.
Yeah,
Good luck
Okay.
to you.
well,
I hope
thanks.
you have a
I know,
good
time's
show.
a wasting, so, okay, thank
Good
you.
luck. Good luck in the event.
Is David Parker here? I didn't expect so. Just for the reading of the agenda item, David Parker had filed an application on behalf of the Merrimack Valley Sandbox for Monday, June 9th, for 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The event is a fundraiser celebration to be held at 110 Canal Street. Unfortunately, 110 Canal Street, as I understand it right now, is not suitable for public assembly. It's not a place that has a certificate of inspection. It's a work in progress as far as the construction and the refurbishing of the building itself. But I don't think it's fair to say that this time that this application, the commission can take any action on it at this point. And Mr. Parker, I don't expect would have been here.
Has he been in contact with you?
I've been in contact with his office by way of email. And the last email communication was pretty much certain specifications had to be met as deemed by the fire department and the Office of Developmental Services. It's not, let's say, the facility that they have in mind to use for this scheduled event, or what was to be a scheduled event, is a shell. It's not any way, shape, or form a place where you could anticipate people coming in and be in a place of safety.
That building's, has a management firm though, right?
Yeah, I think it's part of the Trinity
Right.
operation.
So is this something we want to delay, or we just want to take off the,
I would, there's not going to be a meeting before the June 9th, and
Right.
I would just take no action on this application at this time. I would recommend that. We'll just table it. I mean, if they want to come forward and present another date, say for an anticipation of our next scheduled meeting, June 12th,
Do we need a motion to table it, or can we just move on to number 5?
I think we have to table it.
just,
I'll make a motion to table.
just table it. And I'll-
Second,
I'll let
all
it
in
be
favor
known.
of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
So, voted, tabled.
Tabled.
It's a good thing we're not in England. Where tabling means we'll discuss it forever.
The next series of hearings is all public comment.
Oh, you got a public hearing.
Yeah.
Commissioner, open a public hearing on the application by Mariachi Foods, Inc., doing business as El Potro Mexican Grill, Joseph M. Carrero Jr., manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee for premises at 124 Merrimack Street. The alteration of premise application entails a sidewalk seating area to allow for the sale and service of and consumption of alcohol beverages on the public way. Members of the commission, this matter had gone before the city council, in which they authorized the city manager to enter into a contract with the business owner, and you have a copy of that contract.
Yep.
And this is the public hearing portion to do with the licensee of record being allowed to have alcohol in that designated sidewalk area.
All right, the public hearing is open. Let me ask, since legal notice went out 9 May, have we received anything back?
Yes, we have. We have an affidavit from Mr. Carrero, signed by the president of the corporation, in which property owners touching and church, school, or hospital, one church and 2 schools within 500 feet of 124 Merrimack Street.
All right, but no one's come back and objected.
That's an opportune time here now for
No, I
someone.
got that. I just was
No,
checking to see
nothing
if you have
that's
anything.
come by way.
All right, so, sir, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Joseph M. Carrero Jr. from Mariachi Foods Incorporated.
All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone in favor? You're in favor? Please step up, identify yourself, and
Hi, I'm Susan Purdy, and I'm co-chair of the Lowell Downtown Neighborhood Association. They're a fabulous addition to our downtown and delicious. And they have a restaurant in Somerville, am I right? Yes.
That is correct.
That one of our downtown residents has frequented it for several years. They have been quite a good tenant there, quite a good corporate citizen, and they have been here so far.
okay.
And I expect them to continue, so I support it.
Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? Opposed? Opposed.
So it looks like it's seating for 16, 4 tables?
Yes, 4 tables with 4 chairs each.
Yep. All right.
And in a motion of good faith, we haven't even put out the tables and chairs yet because we don't want to create the impression for any of our customers that there's an opportunity to even have alcoholic beverages outside. We wanted to wait to the hearing to make sure that, everything was in order before we would even, put the seats out.
Well, the License Commission welcomes you to the city. I've
Thank
eaten at your establishment once. It's very good.
Thank you so much.
And hopefully this is an opportunity for you to make some extra revenue, and I would make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Commission now opened a public hearing on the application by the Ame Restaurant LLC, doing business as Black Koi Restaurant and Lounge, 2 Vu, manager of record and owner, all alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee for premises at 602 Merrimack Street, for the alteration of premises, meaning it's a sidewalk seating area. And this also, members of the commission had received a authorization from the council for the manager to enter into a contract with the business owner to allow for sidewalk seating as part of the restaurant. And here before you now is an application to allow this licensee to be able to serve and allow customers to consume alcohol beverages in that sidewalk seating area.
Sir, would you please introduce yourself?
The Thu Vu from Black Oil Restaurant and Lowell.
Okay. Is there anybody who's here that would like to speak in favor of Mr. Vu's proposed modifications? In favor? In favor? Opposed? 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 Okay.
This is a fairly large seating area that you have. Is that 20 chairs?
Yes, sir.
20 chairs. With the length of the 52 feet. Okay. And 14 feet from the air. All right, I'm good with it.
So if I may, each of these licensees for the outside seating have to maintain a pedestrian right-of-way, a minimum of
Right.
4 feet.
Yep.
So this looks like
That's the-
7 feet.
Yeah, I think he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 feet because there is a tree away from that. So that's 3 feet and the 4
There's
feet, that
tree
means
there,
7.
That's why he's doing the whole thing across.
Okay.
I'm good with it. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
sir.
much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's deep, but it's not wide.
Commission will now open a public hearing on the application by the Club des Citoyens Americains, CCA Club as it's known, the Armand Menard president, the all alcoholic beverage club licensee, wishing to transfer its club liquor license or change its location from its current site at 619 Market Street to 731 Lakeview Avenue. There had been a legal notice published in the local newspaper on Friday, May 9th. The applicant is required to notify abutters, and there is a church within 500 feet of the site at 731 Lakeview Ave.
Sir, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, we're trying to get a transfer. We're going to move out to 730.
But introduce yourself, sir.
My
Please,
name
your
is Armand Menard, president of CCA Club.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so you want to move, we've got that. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor? All right, yes, sir.
He's a club member.
Good evening, gentlemen. Very nice to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
Introduce
I've had
yourself.
many years of experience with Mr. Nguyen, and he has been always helpful.
Sir, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Alphonse Marcel. I am on 619 Market Street, the CCA Club, and I'm in favor of this move because this club has established a long history with the city of Lowell. As you may have heard and read in the past, and our wonderful father, Lucian Sawyer, has written about our club in prior articles in the paper about how our club used to help Canadian citizens coming from Canada who base in Lowell to help find shelter, also to find jobs, and get acquainted with the population of Lowell. And now that you know the history, the reason why we want to move our club from 619 Market Street to Lakeview Ave is in order to survive. Our building on 619 Market Street has been sold, and we are looking to transfer our base to, I believe it's 731 Lakeview Ave. Presently, the deal we have in place with the landlord, whom is Mass Real Estate LLC, is we will rent with option to buy. The rent price will be $2,500 per month, and hopefully we will purchase the building later. And as I said in the past, that we were always a good part of the city of Lowell, we intend to do the same thing. We have no problems. We very rarely ever had issues with police officers having to be called to our club for any disturbances. And we will not be renting out any hall in that building. It's just going to be for members, and the neighborhood is welcome to come in and join to be members.
I noticed there's 2 floors. What are your plans for both floors?
We have the back of the building, which, if we purchase the building,
Yep.
we were going to rent it out as a warehouse. The upstairs, we're still debating with our board members about either an apartment or most likely an office unit for upstairs, and a little like pool hall so that people can play pool.
How long were you on Market Street for?
We've been on Market Street for, 19?
66, wow.
Mm-hmm. And about the abutters, they have been notified. And I don't know if any of them are here tonight.
We will see in a moment.
All right.
Thank you, sir. There was one other hand I saw. Please, come up.
My name is Patrick Farmer. I live at 84 Vernon Street. I'm the president of the Centerville Neighborhood Group, which is where they would be moving into. We've had no objections, no phone calls, no complaints. So as far as we're concerned, that would be a good move for us, too.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else in favor?
Say thank you.
Good evening, my name is Anne Marie Page. I live at 26 Fremont Street in Lowell. I'm the current president of the Citywide Neighborhood Council. I sit on the board of the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group. And again, as Mr. Farmer said, we have had no phone calls. We've been aware of no problems when we did our homework. This is a private club that has a good reputation. They follow the rules, they police themselves, and we wish them well in our neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor?
I'm Michael Meehan. I'm the current bar
Sorry,
manager.
Michael
Meehan.
Thank you.
I'm the current bar manager of the CCA Club. And it's a good place. We got great members, and they're all looking forward to keep the tradition going.
How many members at the CCA Club now?
We're a little under 100.
Yep.
But they pass on, and we're trying to get new ones. And, we got a younger generation just coming in, good kids.
Good. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else in favor? Okay, that portion's closed. Anyone against? All right. We'll take the lady first.
That's fine.
You're a pair. Come up together.
Hi, my name is Scott Conant, and this,
I'm Jennifer Conant.
we own 715 Lakeview Avenue, directly next door to where the bar is going to be. And there's been a couple bars there before, and we've had broken windows, we've had vomit in my doorstep, we've had broken glass. I mean, they might be a different set of guys. And they said there's 100 people that are members, and that's where's the parking?
They don't have a parking lot.
They don't have a parking lot. No one's ever spoken to us about
Anything.
Nothing. We heard about this 3 days ago. We got something in the mail. We're directly next door, right next door. we've had, like I said, broken, I mean, we didn't hear anything about this. We're just kind of wondering, where are they gonna park? Do they assume they're gonna use our parking lot that we pay taxes on, we pay a mortgage on? I kind of just, we don't know what to do, really.
Is that your residence or your place of business?
It's a place of business. The
What is your name of your business?
The Cameo Diner. It's at 715 Lakeview.
Okay, yeah.
And,
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, the establishment that was there before, Voices, did they work out an agreement with you on the parking lot next to you, or how did that all work?
that was all, we bought the business off my parents 5 years ago.
Yep.
And they had an agreement with my parents about using the lot.
Okay,
And that was then. And that was the old owner. And they was taking on back taxes, I guess, or
okay.
we kind of just stay over there and mind our own business. But we don't want to have a new place come in and just assume they're going to use our parking lot that we're paying a mortgage on. And we're only open from 6 to 11 in the morning. We're open 5 hours a day.
Have you been approached by the CCA about the
Nothing.
possibility?
We were open on a Saturday morning, very busy Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And they have they were over there one day checking the place out, parking lot, hanging out there, and at a very busy time for us.
Sure.
I don't know if they just think they're gonna use our parking lot. That's our concern. Basically is that and broken, I mean, like, you know, when people go out and drink, they break, I don't know if they're gonna break bottles or whatnot in our parking lot, but there's a lot's happening out there.
I can understand your concern. Knowing the past of the CCA Club and being good neighbors, I think it's a little bit different crowd than a rock band crowd that you had, or heavy metal bands at Voices, so you had a lot younger crowd. I think that's a different, I don't think you want to go down that avenue with that. I think parking, I will ask the members what the parking issue and how can they sustain it. Obviously, 100 members aren't going to be coming all at once. We know that. So if they have 10, 15 at a time, where are they going to park? So I thank you for your
It's basically
input.
the only parking lot in the area. There's a 6-family on one side of a parking lot, there's a 6-family on the corner. There's no parking anywhere really out around there.
It's the only parking lot on the
I
block.
mean, we already have people parking in there anyway from the neighborhood.
Okay.
Mr. Menard, would you please approach the podium? Just stand by. Have you reached out to these people?
No, but I will, when I have the chance, I'll talk to him. But the reason, we're not going to have to...
When do you have to vacate 619 Market Street?
They're going to notify us, the people that we bought that we sold the bank. We sold that establishment to the bank, Jean Diot, and they're going to notify us about that.
They haven't established a date then?
Right. We're not going to have parties and that. We're not going to have that many people, you know? And a lot of them I wouldn't walk in theory.
Wait. It's my thought that we have the time to defer this 2 weeks and allow the parties to meet and talk.
I guess I'll ask you directly. Do you have a plan in place for parking?
Yeah, we have a plan, yeah.
Let me hear it.
I think that parking, we could park at least 10 cars, and we're not getting that many people that comes to clubs no more. And if we can get 10 people and then people coming in from off the street, that's enough. We won't need, the help, because we're not going to have parties no more. We're eliminating all parties. So we're just trying to get just a little family get-together, a bunch of us, just to survive. That's our main goal, you know?
I know you have 100 members. How many active members are there?
How many what?
Active. I know if you ask clubs and VFWs and everything, all different clubs throughout the city, they say they have 200 members, but
yeah,
you may not see 100 of those members. They just pay their dues and being good neighbors, but they don't go frequent the club.
They don't go, right.
All right,
exactly.
so I'm asking you, out of the 100 members, how many would you say are active participants?
I would say a dozen, to be truthful with you.
I'm asking you to be truthful. Yep, that's fine.
That's 12 people, I would say.
All right.
Yeah, that's what we've been averaging, about 10 to 12 people, so I can't see us having a problem, you know?
All right. If in fact your membership grows, and I apologize for not remembering your name, would you be adverse to maybe working out a deal if that came at night and doing something?
Yeah.
And you'd be happy to do that. That makes me feel a lot better.
Hey, I'd like to work a deal out with you. Okay, well, we
I feel a
won't
lot
have a
better.
problem.
Okay.
Okay? Any more questions? Or
No, Mr. Marcel has his hand up. Does he want to speak? Yep, please come up.
Hi, how you doing? Hi. Yes, the reason why we haven't approached your restaurant yet is we don't know if we're gonna get it. We didn't wanna bother you and say, hey, can we park here? And, I will say though, in the past with John Duck Credit Union, we have made arrangements where we kept the lot clean. When we had people that did get sick, when we rented, we're not renting anymore. When we rented for parties, we cleaned up the vomit. I've been out there the next morning cleaning myself, and we always kept the lot clean and in order. And if we had an agreement with your company, we'd be doing the same as well. All right?
Okay.
Oh,
Mr.
thank
Menard, you said you basically had 12 active members with a $2,500 rent. I would advise you to start. It would be,
We'll have to work something out, maybe.
all right, I wish you luck.
I move we defer this for 2 weeks to allow Mr. Menard to clean up the parking issue
Yeah,
and
we're
come
gonna
back
clean
to
out the
us.
park, and if he wants, I'll make a deal with him, we'll make arrangements to get it. Yeah, we'll,
Are you
Okay,
good with
yeah.
that now? Because if
The
that's the
reason I
case,
haven't
then we don't
contacted-
need to defer here.
yeah, I haven't contacted him, I gotta make sure we can get the license and get together, then I was gonna have a meeting with him, you know?
That's fine.
Yeah, if you want to.
Are you good with that? Because we won't defer if that's, if,
I missed that. What do we?
All right, there's a motion on the floor to defer this for 2 weeks for the two of you to agree, although if the two of you are in agreement at this point that you think you can cut a deal, we'll approve this.
Well, I'd like
So
to
it's-
cut a deal.
You're the one speaking no. Do you think that you can cut a deal on this for parking?
Right.
okay.
All right. I withdraw my motion.
And I may make a motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you all very
Thank you
much.
for your cooperation. Thank you all, thank you very much, appreciate it.
How are we doing?
By the way, for those that need to know, should know, this matter does have to be approved. Mr. Conant, just for your information, Mrs. Conant, just for your information, this matter does have to be approved by the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission. So it's not final, though the License Commission has granted its approval for the transfer of the license, it still has to be approved by the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission. That could take several weeks or a month or longer. So in your best interest, I'm sure you'll contact your attorney on this matter. Yes.
I'm good.
Okay, now the commission will go, has completed its public hearings for this evening, and now we'll proceed with a hearing, which is of a disciplinary matter, which had been continued from our last scheduled meeting, which was May 8th. And this is to do with allegations of misconduct against the licensee known as Hayhurst Group, Inc., doing business as Finn's Pub, Kevin Hayhurst, manager, 7684 Merrimack Street. This is the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee, and the allegations are charged by the superintendent of police, William M. Taylor, and the alleged violations are of sections 116 of the Lowell License Commission regulations, to wit, manager's responsibilities, and section 1.20 of the Lowell License Commission regulations, to wit, illegal activities. Specifically, those illegal activities are ABC regulation 204 CMR .205, permitting an illegality on the licensed premises, to wit, committing a felonious assault on a person in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 265, Section 13A.
Introduce yourself, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Raymond Weicker. I'm here on behalf of my client, Mr. Kevin Hayhurst, the owner of Hayhurst Group and Finn's Pub. And with me is my client and several of the employees.
Mr. Hayhurst, would you introduce yourself, please?
Kevin Hayhurst, the owner of Finn's Pub.
Mr. Weicker, would you like the charges read into the record?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'll waive the reading. And I do want to say that I thank the commission for giving me time to at least get the information from the last date until this date.
Okay.
Captain Kennedy?
Who's representing the city here?
Kara Regan and Elliot Veloso.
All right. Can you tell us about this? Do we have witnesses?
We do. We have 2 police officers and 1 eyewitness and 1 person who's had a conversation with Mr. Hayhurst about the event.
Mr. Weicker, would you like to expound upon this?
No, at this point, I would just like to hear from the witnesses. I would just also caution that I think the city intends to rely on several layers of hearsay information, and I would ask that that be taken with the grain of salt to which it's entitled.
Thank you. I'd like to call Patrolman Webb to the lectern, please. Officer Webb, I appreciate you coming down. I know it was short notice, that Captain Kennedy, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Just a couple of questions on my end. Oh, yes, please. Your name for the record?
Anthony Webb.
Thank you very much. On your narrative here, Kevin Hayhurst states that listed victim is known to cause trouble on a regular basis at his establishment. On today's date, he did just that, and someone must have hit him. Hayhurst states he wasn't the one who struck listed victim, nor did he know who did it. It should be noted, these officers observed Hayhurst's right knuckle to have mild swelling. Did you, by chance, ask Mr. Hayhurst how he had that mild swelling on his knuckle?
No, I didn't.
You did not?
No.
But it was apparent to you that there was some swelling on that knuckle?
Yes.
Thank you. Did Mr. Hayhurst ask you if he needed to report this altercation, and did you say no?
No, he didn't ask.
Okay, that was, Mr. Hayhurst had stated that, and talking with Detective Erickson, so you did not say that?
Pardon?
You did not say that?
No.
Thank you very much.
When you got to the scene, the victim was already outside, is that correct?
Yes.
And you called the ambulance?
Yes.
And then you went inside?
Yes.
And that's when you found Mr. Hayhurst on the second floor?
Yes.
Witnesses said to you that there had been an altercation. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Pardon? So I'm having trouble hearing you, sorry.
The witnesses, I mean, the reports say that there were witnesses and they said there had been an altercation. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. When I got there, they said there's one female that told me that Kevin did it. That was all she said. She didn't give the last name or anything, just said that Kevin did it. And she didn't want to give any more information, didn't want to get involved.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add to this discussion?
No.
Nothing else to tie it in?
When you spoke with Mr. Hayhurst, and he was on the second floor, he told you that he was unaware of what transpired. Is that correct?
He didn't know. He said he didn't know who hit him. He thought someone else did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Officer Webb. I appreciate that.
Well, before you leave, Mr. Weicker, would you like to ask any questions?
Yes, thank you. Officer Webb, you had the opportunity to interact with Mr. Hayhurst that evening, correct?
Yes.
All right. And I noticed your report doesn't mention anything regarding intoxication or alcohol consumption. Do you recall any such intoxication?
No, he was just sitting in the office. There was no slurred speech, no.
Was there any indication that he had consumed 2 bottles of Dr. McGillicuddy's?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. And your report says that you came upon a group of people standing around an individual laying on the ground, correct?
Yes.
All right, you didn't witness any assault going on?
No.
And when you went inside, who took you up to the 2nd floor?
The gentleman right there in the white hat.
Eric Finn?
Eric Finn, yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Officer Webb.
Oh, actually, I had a question for Officer Webb.
Oh, please.
Sorry.
Attorney Reagan?
Officer Webb, how did you come to arrive at Finn's Pub? Were the police called about this incident?
I was actually on patrol in the area and I noticed the crowd outside.
Okay, so you came upon this of your own volition and investigated. You didn't come there because dispatch called you and said there was a fight?
No, I wasn't dispatched.
Okay, thank you.
Officer Webb, who was your partner on this patrol?
Actually, I'm a one-man car. I patrolled myself. I'm on the patrol by myself.
Okay, so you were in a car?
Yes.
Okay. All right, does anyone else have a question?
I'm all set.
Thank you very much, sir.
Timothy Greenelch, Darren McDonald, Greg Balamotis, Ashley Mendonça, and Kayla Soares. If any of you or all of you are here, could you approach the lectern, please? Please state your names.
Darren McDonald.
Timothy Greenelch.
Can you tell us, Mr. Ianholz, what happened from your point of view?
I was in Finn's Pub around 7:30, and I was talking to a few friends of mine, and then I got punched in the side of the face, and I kind of fell. I was like knocked off balance, and then I got thrown to the ground, and I was getting dragged outside, and I was just covering myself up while I was still getting attacked. And then I was kicked in the face, and then it got broken up, and that's when Officer Webb arrived.
You said you got kicked and you got punched in the face.
Yes.
Who are you alleging did that?
Kevin Hayhurst.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald, in Detective Erickson's narrative, it says that McDonald said Kevin Hayhurst called him on Tuesday, the 18th, approximately 10:30, 10:45 p.m. McDonald said he would produce a record of this call. Do you have that record by any chance?
No, I don't. Actually, I didn't say I produce a record. What I said was we both had a conversation. It was either I was going to call him, he was going to call me.
Can you tell me about that phone call?
It was just a basic phone call. I wanted to know what happened to my son as a parent.
He called you or you called him?
He actually called my phone.
Okay.
A mutual friend. Actually, I reached out to a mutual friend that got in contact with him that ended up calling me. So it was, I knew either one of us were going to make that phone call.
All right. Did you know Mr. Hayhurst before this point?
No, sir.
I'm just going to read a little bit and you tell me if I'm incorrect. McDonald said Kevin was apologetic and told him he hadn't realized Timmy was his son, but tried justifying the assault by saying Timmy was being a punk and a expletive. McDonald said he told Kevin it was not right because Kevin is a big guy and beating up a little kid, nearly snapping his neck and breaking his nose was not acceptable. McDonald said he asked Hayhurst to tell him the truth of what happened. McDonald said Hayhurst said Timmy was acting like an expletive. McDonald said Hayhurst said, I punched him and whipped him off the chair. McDonald said Hayhurst also admitted punching and kicking Timmy while he was on the ground. McDonald said Hayhurst asked him how he wanted to settle it. McDonald said he replied to Kevin the legal way. Is that fairly accurate?
It's, yeah, pretty accurate, but it was more, I just wanted to know what happened to my son, and that's all it was. I just want to know what happened to my kid, that was all.
Okay, let's break this into two parts. Mr. Greenhalgh, if you'll approach the podium again. Were you causing difficulty in the bar?
No, I was in the bar for maybe 15 to 20 minutes.
Do you have a history of causing difficulty in the bar?
No,
Have you ever been in trouble in the bar before?
no.
Have you ever been bounced out?
No, I've never been bounced out.
All right. Mr. Weicker, would you like to talk to Mr. Greenhalgh?
Yes, please.
Just before, I'm sorry, Attorney Weicker. Mr. Greenhalgh, did you have any confrontation with Jeff McCarthy that night?
Not confrontation as in like fighting. I just know him from going to the bar.
All right, no argument ensued?
No,
Okay, thank you.
this is a casual. Every time I go there, I say hi to him, and that's it.
Attorney Weicker?
So, Mr. Greenhalgh, let me just get this clear. Your allegation is that you walked into a bar and for no reason you were assaulted,
Yes,
and for no reason you were dragged out,
yes.
and you say that you've never been in any trouble.
Not in that bar.
All right, but not in that bar. Which bars have you been in trouble in?
Well, we're speaking about fins. I was just
Well,
saying I've never been in trouble in fins.
Okay, well, which bars have you been in trouble in?
I'm not really in trouble with any bars. I was just,
Which one led to your 2013 arrest for disorderly conduct?
that was Hookside Kelly's.
Okay. So you do have a history of being in trouble in bars?
Yes.
Okay.
One time doesn't qualify as history.
Well, it's-
Yes, I understand.
it is a history. Okay. So, and you say that you just walked in and for no reason, somebody just came up and started beating you up, you out of the entire crowd of people on St. Patrick's Day weekend?
Yes.
Okay. And the person who says that you were in there drinking, how much had you had to drink that day?
I had a few drinks at Garcia Brogan before I.
How many?
4 to 5 Jamesons.
And how many beers?
I didn't have any beers. It was just
The report says you had beers as well as Jameson, so.
I had a few Jamesons and Shocked Up.
Okay, so you had some Shock Top?
Yes.
Okay,
Please,
so you did
please
have.
speak up.
Okay, so you did have both Jamesons and beer. So you had
Yes, I
4 to
did.
5 Jamesons and some beer?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So you're drinking, you're in a bar, you've got a history of being disorderly in bars. And what do you do recreationally?
Excuse me?
Your shoes. What kind of shoes are those?
Nike
Okay.
running shoes?
And what do you do? You work out at Best Fitness still?
Yes.
Okay. You still box?
No.
No?
No.
When was the last time you boxed?
Before I went to the military, like 2005.
Okay. And when was the last time you trained in the gym as a boxer?
Just here and there at Forever Fitness in Drum Hill.
Okay. So you've been trained as a boxer. You admit to drinking heavily on the day. You've got a history of being in fights in bars, and you say that somebody came up and hit you for no reason. And on the day in question, you didn't want to talk to the police outside. You just wanted to get out of there, right?
Yes.
But 3 days later, after your demand for money was refused, you suddenly went to the police and said, oh, it was Kevin.
What demand for money?
All right. Your father went down to the bar, he walked in, and he made a threat that he wanted $20,000 or this was going to get ugly.
Whoa, hold on.
That's actually not even true whatsoever as far as going down to any bar and making any accusation of that.
Let Mr. Weicker finish, and we'll come back and address this issue.
Right.
Sure.
We'll do this in an orderly way.
All right. So when the police had the opportunity to speak to you on the day in question when you were drunk and involved in a bar fight with somebody, you didn't want to give them any information that day, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't give them any information until after you weren't going to be getting something.
No, I gave him information after I was called by Detective Erickson.
So days later, you suddenly decide that you want to press charges and you want to press them against Kevin, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But again, you were just there for no reason whatsoever, and you were attacked for no reason whatsoever.
Yes.
Okay. And all of your friends are going to come up here and verify that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Where are they?
They're not here. They're at work.
For the record?
They're not here.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, before we go to the city, what service were you in? Please step up.
I was in
Said
the
you went in the service. What service?
United States Army,
And how long were you in the Army?
5 years.
And what did you do in the Army?
I was infantry.
Discharge?
Yes, I was medically discharged.
Medical discharge?
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Greenhalgh, just to go back to something that Attorney Weicker was saying, you weren't in a bar fight that night, correct?
The night I was arrested?
No, the March 16th.
No, I was
No.
not.
You would characterize as that you were assaulted.
Yes, I was assaulted. I was not in a bar fight.
You did not fight back.
No, I did not fight back. I had had a little much to drink that night, and I was pretty much defenseless.
And you ended up on the sidewalk out in front of Finn's?
Yes.
And you were being punched and kicked while
Yes,
you were...
I was pretty much just on my hands and my knees and just covering my head, and I got kicked in the neck, and then when I was trying to get up, I was punched and kicked also.
At that point, I can imagine you probably wanted to get to the hospital, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you go to the hospital?
Yes, I did.
And what was the diagnosis of your injuries?
I had a fractured nose.
Okay. And there are pictures in the record that the commission has that, who took those pictures of you?
Kayla Suarez.
And she also witnessed the event, but she was unable to be here tonight because she was working, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
What rank did you attain in the Army?
Specialist.
Okay. Mr. Weicker, did you have additional questions?
I did. Mr. Greenhalgh, is it any coincidence that, your last arrest for a bar fight was also St. Patrick's Day of the year prior?
I wasn't involved in a bar fight.
Okay. Your last incident in a bar at Hookslide Kelly's was also St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Yes.
So this is kind of an annual tradition for you since you got back.
Excuse me, that's incredibly inappropriate.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, it's not. It's an annual
Excuse me,
tradition.
I want to know what she said.
I said it's incredibly inappropriate what Attorney Weicker just said.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, is this an annual tradition for you now? I mean, is it planned for 2015 as well?
That's the question you're asking. What's an annual tradition?
No further questions.
All right, so,
If,
I have a question here.
not, just please wait.
I see that there's some employees from Finn's Pub here. Would one of them be Demetrius Papulius?
Sir.
Could you step up to the lectern, please?
I'm sorry. Before we go on to the next witness,
Sure.
may I question, are there any questions from
Mr.
other
McDonald.
Mr. McDonald?
Mr. McDonald?
Go right ahead, Attorney Waker.
If the board doesn't have any questions, I have a few.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Now, Mr. McDonald, you say that you got a phone call from a specific phone number, correct?
Yes,
And you gave that number to Detective Erickson, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And you gave him the right number, right?
I believe I did.
Okay. For the record, what's your wife's name? Her first name?
I'm not married.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name. We need to speak clearly.
I'm not married.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's your ex-wife's first name?
I was never married. I don't have an ex-wife.
Well, let me ask again. What's your relationship to Timothy?
Timmy's my stepson.
Okay.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Timothy is my stepson. I raised him since he was 2 years old.
Okay.
Okay. And what's his mother's name?
Kelly.
Thank you. Now, you've raised him and you've set good examples for him his entire life, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And those good examples include how to behave appropriately in public settings?
Yes.
Okay. So you've set an example for him by being arrested for disorderly conduct and assault, correct?
I'm sorry?
You've set an example for him by being arrested and found guilty on disorderly conduct, assault, assault and battery.
I'm sorry, this line of questioning is bizarre. I don't see what Mr. McDonald's history has anything to do with what happened on that night.
Attorney Weicker, let's get to the point.
Okay, it's only he's proffering that he's raised him and set a good example for him, so I'm getting into the examples he's set.
How is this relevant?
Well, eventually, this board is going to be asked to believe what happened that night.
Yeah.
And the credibility of the witnesses is always in question in any proceeding. When a person is a convicted felon, that goes to the weight of their credibility. And the city knows this, which is why they don't want this coming into evidence. But they know that they're relying on the testimony of a convicted felon, and a violent convicted felon at that, who raised an individual who also gets into bar incidents and who also has his own record. So, sir, would you agree that you're a convicted felon?
No.
You've never been convicted of a crime?
Yes, I have.
You've been convicted of disorderly conduct?
Yep.
You've been convicted of assault?
Yep.
You've been convicted of assault and battery?
Yep. Multiple times.
Multiple times?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you've even been convicted of crimes of moral turpitude, including larceny by false pretenses.
Yes, I have.
The city again objects to this entire line of questioning. This is.
I don't object.
I understand.
I can answer whatever he needs me to answer. I'm more than happy to answer this.
So, sir, for the record, you have lied in order to get money, correct?
Absolutely not.
So you've been convicted of larceny by false pretenses, and you're saying that you were not guilty of the conviction for larceny, which is a crime, as taking, and that there were false pretenses involved. So.
All right, I think, Mr. Riker, that you've established
what is
your
that
point.
relevant-
Can we
what
wrap
is that
this
rele-
up?
What is that relevant to this? My history is not relevant to what is taking place in front of the board tonight.
Your credibility, sir, as a person who has lied in order to gain money or other advantage, and a person who is a violent felon, having raised an individual sent into yet another bar fight every St. Patrick's Day,
All
is
right.
relevant.
Lying.
Mr. Weicker, let's
Source-
cut to the
source would that be
chase.
coming from? Is the witness here that can state that I?
Ms. McDonald,
Is there a witness here that can state
let's
that?
just stand by, and Mr. Weicker, let's cut to the chase.
Because that comes to hearsay. That's hearsay to me.
Well, I'm just
a
asking you,
a
sir.
$20,000 payout is what he's obviously saying. Where is the witness that can? I don't know.
Just stand by one.
Sir,
Mr. Weicker,
how many larceny charges have you been convicted of?
I'm not sure.
And how many disturbing the peace charges have you been convicted of?
All right, I'm putting a stop to this. This is not germane to this issue at all.
I'm not the one that should.
No, not talking to you, all right?
No.
I'm moving on, Attorney
Okay.
Weicker, all right? And I'm going to ask some questions.
Well, if I may.
No,
I
you're
still
not.
have a few
No,
others that
no.
go to his
I'm
testimony.
gonna ask some questions.
we need to get back to this and close it out, though.
Demetrius Papulius, to the lectern, please.
Please note my objection that I'd like this witness recalled.
Noted.
Hi.
State your name, please.
Good evening. My name is Demetrius Papulius. I'm the general manager of Finn's Pub.
Okay. My question to you, sir. You opened Sunday, the 16th, 11 a.m. At 6:30. You were seated on the side of the bar with your cousin and some friends. States that you heard a commotion and saw Kevin and a kid pushing each other, correct?
They're in front of each other, yes. I don't know if the...
Okay, thank you. Kevin and Jeff were trying to get Green outside.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Papulius said Kevin was halfway in or halfway out of the doorway, correct?
Meets my estimation.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to what Mr. Hayhurst had stated to Detective Erickson, and then that he, in fact, was nowhere close to that door. That, in fact, at the bar, he turned around and went up the stairs.
I informed him that he had a pending case. and
Okay, but you had just said that he was halfway out the door.
From my estimation, everything was going on in front of me. From what I saw, he's a big dude, a big gentleman, and make a long story short, I turned around.
Yeah.
And I go, please go back inside, Kevin.
Yeah. Okay, but you...
Not inside, but go back inside the bar further away from this incident because you have a pending case from last year.
Understood, but you did say that he was halfway out the door or halfway inside the door, correct?
Half his foot was outside,
All right,
yes.
so that, in being in Finn's once or twice myself, there is
my statement
there
says.
is, between the door and the bar, there's quite a distance there.
Nah, about 15 feet.
Yeah, 15, well, it's a pretty good distance. So if a man is halfway out the door, or he's turned around and gone
Well, there was
upstairs?
a gathering. I'm not going against my statement, sir.
Okay,
I'm just
great.
saying.
That's all I need. Thank you very much.
Before you step down, could he have been outside and was coming back in?
No, sir.
All right.
He had to be physically around me, and me and him are pretty much the same size.
Mr. Weicker, got any questions?
Yes. And for the record, did you witness, or did Mr. Hayhurst strike Mr. Greenhelch?
No, I did not.
And why was Mr. Greenhelch being removed from the bar that day?
From what I heard, was he was having an altercation with Mr. Jeff McCarthy. A verbal altercation. It was hearsay to me. I did not see it personally.
But you removed him?
I was there, yes.
Okay. And what was his demeanor while you were removing him?
Combative.
How so?
Like pushing back, I don't want to leave, etc.
Thank you.
Ms. Regan?
Mr. Polias, did you tell, when you spoke with Detective Erickson, did you tell him that Kevin and the kid were pushing each other?
They were in front of each other. Kevin was trying to hold him back, or whatever the altercation was, I don't know what it
Kevin
was.
was making contact with the kid,
I mean,
in your view?
I'll consider contact body to body, yes.
Okay.
I mean, he wasn't thrown down and getting kicked in the head, from what he states.
But he was making contact. Did you, at that point, call the police?
I tried to break up the fight, ma'am. My priority is to make sure everybody's safe.
Okay, and you don't think the police could be helpful with making people
While my
safe?
phone was behind the bar getting charged, I just ran over to make sure nobody got hurt.
Did you instruct someone else to call the police?
No, I did not. The police were there when I came back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would Jeff McCarthy be here?
No, he's not.
He's not, okay. Because his testimony is curious to say the least.
Can we read that into the minutes?
I'd ask that, I'm going to object only because this is a witness that if they wanted, they should have sent the summons, they should have sent somebody to pick him up. This is a person that they could have brought in. Relying on hearsay deprives me of the ability, we're talking about somebody's livelihood here and whether or not we get to find out the facts. We certainly have an opinion as to his testimony.
Okay.
That's written into that report. And that opinion is something that the officer can testify to, but it should, of course, it should be live testimony. I mean, these are witnesses, they're all local.
Okay.
There's no reason that they couldn't be here.
All right,
if
then
they
I'm
were
going to
wanted.
call up Detective Erickson. Detective, if you could elaborate concerning your time spent with Mr. McCarthy, if you would.
Yes, I spoke with him at the Criminal Bureau. He was one of the employees of Finn's that had been provided a list of employees that were working that night that Mr. Hayhurst had recalled. I had contacted him, and he had arrived at the Criminal Bureau for an interview. I began speaking with him about the altercation that had occurred there and what he had seen. He told me that he was not working that evening. He was there. He had consumed alcohol. He was there with his pregnant girlfriend. He said that he was encountered by a person he knows as Tim Greenelch, and Tim Greenelch had taken a fighting stance with him. He said that he had took exception to it, and that he had got up to get a hold of Kevin and made contact with the bouncers to have him removed. And he said that he had been drinking that evening, but he was not intoxicated. And he said that Tim Greenelch had come right over to him, and there was another male with him. He believed that they were drunk. He told me that Tim has never fought on the Bob, but there was one incident that he had recalled that Tim had uttered. He intimated a threat about McCarthy's brother. He never clarified on it. It was specific. No police report was ever made. He said there was no altercation or verbal interaction between them as a result of it. That was the only incident that he had recalled that Tim was involved in. I asked him if Tim had, or the other male had threatened him or his pregnant girlfriend. He said no. I asked if they had said anything to his girlfriend, and he replied no. I asked him if he felt if he was threatened by this fighting stance gesture. He said no. He said that he approached Kevin to find Demetrius and Scotty, who were bouncers at Finn's. There were two of the bouncers that were working that night. And that he said that Demetrius and Scotty had walked over to Tim and Tim's friend and ordered them out of the bar. McCarthy said that he and Kevin were standing behind the bouncers on the other side of them. He said that they had a conversation. He doesn't know what it was specifically, but he knew that Tim and the other kid weren't happy. And that McCarthy said that Demetrius and Scotty asked him to leave, and they just walked out of the bar. He said no one made physical contact with Green Elge at all or the other male. McCarthy said they both left at the same time, and they just walked out the door themselves. He said that he and Kevin was still behind Demetrius and Scotty. They were behind them at the whole time, and they just walked out the door. McCarthy said that Kevin had turned around and walked directly to the elevator, and he himself had walked out through the rear kitchen, through the alley, to Middle Street, around the corner to Central, and sat on a bench and had a cigarette for a time. McCarthy said that he sat there for a little bit, and that had returned to the bar, had retrieved his pregnant girlfriend, and left to his vehicle. And he described an incident that he was re-encountered by Green Elge's friend, who was Greg Balamotis, one of the witnesses that I spoke with in the case. No physical interaction. It was just a verbal challenge, and he departed the area without further incident. I continued to question him. I told him that it was highly suspicious that his account wasn't even consistent with the other employees or with the owner, the manager, the owner. I'd confronted him about it. He insisted that it was. I had confronted him about the fact that he had left his pregnant girlfriend. He had walked out the back into an alley and around the corner and left his pregnant girlfriend inside inside the bar. I had the indication that he was not being truthful, that he was being purposely evasive, so I made the decision to read him his Miranda rights, just because I felt that his testimony could potentially incriminate him. He agreed, he accepted the advisements, understood those rights, and wished to continue speaking with me. And he provided the same account, so I terminated the interview.
Mr. Weicker, do you have any questions?
Sure. Well, so let me ask you, Detective, after you read him his rights, he still didn't change his story, correct?
He did not.
Okay. And he was in the interview room?
Yes.
And the interview room has audio and video recording available?
It does.
Okay, and did you use it for this?
I did not.
Okay. Did you ask him to prepare a written statement at all?
I did not. I took handwritten notes at the time. A few of the interviews that I did, including Hayhurst and McCarthy and Green Elge and, well, a few of the witnesses. While I was speaking with them, I took handwritten notes, which I still have within the case file.
All right. And did any of the witnesses prepare written statements?
No.
Okay. Now, I want to go back. Your report says that Mr. McDonald received a phone call from a particular phone number.
Yes.
And you put that phone number in your report, correct?
I did.
And did you call that phone number to determine who it belonged to?
I did. I don't remember that. I believe that it went. I don't recall who it went to. That was he wasn't exactly sure of the number. That was his best guess. At the time I was speaking with him, he was attempting to recover it from his phone. And he said at some point he may be able to identify it. It's the number that he told me, so it's the number I wrote into the report. I don't know the origin of it.
And so you don't know that it actually belongs to a woman who's named Kelly?
I would not be surprised that Kelly would be in his phone.
And all of these alleged statements, you were not able to verify?
Of whose? McCarthy's or?
All the ones that Mr. McDonald offers.
All of his statements I wasn't able to verify?
Were you able to verify any of his communication with Mr. Hayhurst?
No, not definitively.
Okay. And were you able to, I mean, this is from March, so at any time since March, were you able to get any of the phone records for his cell phone?
There was no phone searches, toll records for this incident.
Okay. But a phone record search would have actually produced a PIN register showing what numbers called in, correct?
If he was accurately recording what time he had received the call, when he had called the criminal, when he had called, he was put in contact with the criminal bureau. He was upset and irate that his son had been assaulted. And when I spoke with him, it was at that time that he was attempting to recall it.
All right, but
the time and the date.
You didn't speak with him until, what day was it, the 19th?
Yes.
So this was 3 days after the incident? Yes. Okay. And 3 days after the incident is when he contacts you, correct?
He had called the police department. The incident happened on the 16th, the day before St. Patrick's Day. He had, from what I understand, he had called the station the following day, upset, asking who was going to follow up the incident. His son had been assaulted, and that call was rerouted to the Criminal Bureau, which is where I work. I was assigned that case, and it was the very next day that I spoke with him. And it was the day after that I spoke with his son. So it was a span of 4 days.
And I only ask because your report says that he didn't contact the CIB until March 19th.
No, he had called the station and had become he was alarmed and concerned. I was assigned.
I don't want the characterizations. I'm just asking, when did he contact
I'm telling you, the incident happened on the 16th. On the 7th, from what I understand, on the 17th, he contacted the station. The case was assigned to me on the 18th, and I spoke with him on the 19th, so it's a 4-day span. 16th, 17th, he called the station. 18th, I was assigned the case. 19th, I spoke with the stepfather.
Okay. Your report doesn't mention any prior calls prior to the 19th.
Like I said, it's what is reported. I can't confirm that.
Okay. And, no, I have nothing else, thanks.
Attorney Regan? Do you have any questions for Detective Erickson?
Yes, Detective Erickson, could you either read into the record or speak about your interview with Kayla Soares, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly?
And again, I'm going to object here because this is now another witness that is being put forward without being put forward. This is...
Well, luckily for all of us, the License Commission is not bound by the rules of evidence, so the commission is able to give whatever weight they want to the testimony, understanding that the witness was not able to be here tonight.
I'm just asking that the commission now is in the unique position of both having a person who is prosecuting a case giving advice to the commission on how they should prosecute it or how they should hear it. My concern is this. You have a witness who is local, who supposedly was going to come in and back up everything that was said, and doesn't. A person who doesn't give any report until later, and is not here subject to being questioned regarding any of the gross inconsistencies that are contained in this statement. So essentially, you're asking that information be put in or allegations be put in that are multiple levels of hearsay without any scrutiny whatsoever. I could simply have somebody walk in here and say, I heard a rumor from so-and-so. After talking to them, they told me that Officer so-and-so was engaged in Act X with person Y, and therefore you must accept it as true. I don't believe that these levels of hearsay should be admitted. This board has better standards than that and should at least require witnesses when talking about taking away somebody's livelihood. I mean, we're talking local witnesses here. They should have been brought. There have been weeks and weeks to get them together. They should have been brought. There's a reason that they're not, and it's because of the gross inconsistencies in their statements.
You are aware, though, that we've read the police reports.
I am aware that the
not
police
like
reports
we're-
have been read, but they are not evidence, and under the rules for administrative proceeding hearings, they're not evidence. The police reports are not moved into evidence. And they're simply a summary of an opinion based on information collected, but the information contained therein still has to be evaluated for its merit. And that's why we have witnesses. Otherwise, we
A
wouldn't have
detective
brought
of the
a
Lowell Police
single
Department is a pretty
officer here.
reliable witness.
Wait, stand by.
If the question is, well, let's just take what's written as fact, then why do we even have witnesses or hearings?
I think we're having witnesses because there's a lot of different opinions out there. Ms. Reagan.
Again, the License Commission is not bound by the rules of evidence. It can give whatever weight it wants to evidence, and it's supposed to look for indicia of reliability. And I would say that a detective of the Lowell Police Department is a pretty reliable testifier as to what conversations he had.
And for the record, my sister knows that that's not my objection. I'm not in any way saying that the detective would misremember what somebody told him. But simply because somebody said it is so doesn't make it so. If they told him that they were walking on the moon that morning before swinging by Finn's Pub, it doesn't mean they were walking on the moon. It means they should be subject to being cross-examined. It's not a question of whether the detective accurately remembers what they said. It's a question of whether what they said is true and subject to standing up to cross-examination.
I think we have your point, and our goal is to not be here tomorrow. All right, is there anybody else? Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else you would like to hear from?
I'd like to hear from Mr. Hayhurst himself.
Please introduce yourself.
Kevin Hayhurst.
Mr. Hayhurst, tell me what happened.
I was sitting at the end of the bar by the kitchen. Jeff McCarthy approached me, said that Mr. Greenelge, a couple of his friends were giving him a hard time, getting a fighting stance, in his face like normal. He causes trouble in the bar all the time. The weekend before that, him and his friends surrounded an off-duty police officer outside, gave him a hard time as well. We went outside, broke that up. Luckily, the police came at the same time. He's known to give us a hard time. My bouncer here, they can testify the same thing. I went up to Greenelge. I did not physically hit him, didn't hit him from behind, none of the sucker punch that's written in there. He was right next to my door guy, Scotty, and I told him to remove him. When he started getting combative with Scotty, Dimitri did come over and escort him out. Dimitri did say, you gotta get out of here. Your recommendations, you personally before told me, what are you doing involved in these things? I turned around, I walked, I actually grabbed the water from the bar, got in the elevator, went upstairs. When I went upstairs, I sat there with my water, drank my water. You can say my hands are always swollen. I mean, they're not always swollen, but this is how my hands look. I actually presented them to Mr. Webb myself. He didn't ask me to see them. I was not intoxicated. I asked him specifically, I said, hey, look at my hands. I was sitting on my couch, which I always do. If there's too much stuff going on upstairs, I go sit on my couch. That's what happened. They dragged him out, and then I talked to Officer Webb after that.
You have any idea how Mr. Greenelge ended up with a fractured nose?
No, I don't. I was upstairs.
How about, did your bouncers tell you what happened?
No, they told me that they brought him outside. And there was a crowd out there. I don't know. He's a known punk. He gets into fights all the time. He's known to be a problem.
I'm still trying to understand how he could just fall face first and break his nose on his own accord.
Actually, it was snow outside and it was ice, but I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you I wasn't there. I did not witness what happened to him. He was standing there when I turned around and walked away.
Attorney Reagan, do you have anything for Mr. Harris? Mr. Veloso?
I'd like to call Detective Erickson back.
Do you have any questions at this point for Mr. Hayhurst?
No, not at this point.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Ms. Regan.
Sure. Detective Erickson, can you tell us about your interview with Mr. Hayhurst?
On the 25th, I had contacted Kevin Hayhurst, and he agreed to come to the Criminal Bureau. I spoke with him. He described that on Sunday, the 16th, he was seated at the bar when Jeff McCarthy approached him and told him that they had an altercation with Timmy Greenelch. Hayhurst said Jeff told him that a group of kids surrounded him and his wife, and that they had started problems with other staff members at Finn's before. Hayhurst said he personally told Greenelch not to come back inside the bar because he starts troubles and fights, but that he keeps sneaking in and gets past his bouncers, or that he comes in with mutual friends of Hayhurst himself, and that he allows them to stay when he's able to enter that way. Hayhurst said he approached Greenelch with his bouncers, Demetrios and Scotty, and told him to leave. Hayhurst said that Greenelch started to get mouthy, and that the bouncers grabbed him. Hayhurst said he immediately turned his back and walked to the bar. He got a water, got in the elevator, went upstairs, sat on his couch with his water. And he said it was a short time later that Officer Webb had come upstairs with Eric Finn. Hayhurst said that he told Officer Webb that he wasn't involved and suggested officers look at his hands. There were no swelling, cuts, or bruises. Hayhurst said that he asked Officer Webb if he needed to report this altercation, and Officer Webb told him no. Hayhurst acknowledged that he drank shots of Dr. McGillicuddy's and was not working this evening. Hayhurst denied being physically involved in this incident or knowing who struck or kicked Greenelch. Hayhurst said the only staff working this evening he could recall was manager Demetrius Papoulias, bouncers Christian Diamantopoulos, bouncer Scotty Pilla, and bartender Angelina Tavares. Hayhurst then provided me with their contact information, their cell phones.
Just to follow up, so Mr. Hayhurst told you that he had been drinking that night?
Yes.
And for those of us who aren't familiar, what is Dr. McGillicuddy's?
It's like a schnapps. It's like a peppermint schnapps.
And he said that he was doing shots of this?
Yes.
To you? Did he indicate how much total that he had consumed?
He had told me, I had told him, during the conversation with him, I had told him that I had received information that he was drinking and asked him if he had. He did acknowledge, he didn't give me a number, he just said he was drinking shots of McGillicuddy's.
Thank you.
Mr. What? Sorry, Mr. Weicker.
Detective, do you credit Officer Webb's testimony that Mr. Hayhurst was not intoxicated?
Do I credit it?
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
Do you believe him?
Do I believe Officer Webb?
Yes.
That he was, I believe Officer Webb said that he didn't note intoxication.
Okay. Now, so during the course of your investigation, you learned that Mr. Greenelch had already been given a no trespass order, told not to come back on the property?
No.
You said he's personally told Greenelch not to come back inside the bar?
Yes, yes, he had verbally
But
told him
keeps
that.
sneaking back in, correct?
Yes.
So he's on notice that he's not supposed to be there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So by being there, he was actually committing a crime by coming into a place where he was told that he was not allowed to be.
Not if the bar owner relents and allows him in with mutual friends to stay.
And
You
did
kind of can't give and take the trespassing notice.
Let me ask you this. Did he referred to him as sneaking in, correct?
At any point, he could have told him to leave.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that. This altercation is alleged to have occurred because he was told to leave, correct?
It was actually, it's reported that it occurred because Timothy Greenelch and somebody else had encountered one of his employees.
He was being removed from the bar, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the employee had previously said that the guy has come in and started trouble in the past, correct?
Jeff McCarthy reports that.
Okay. And including making a threat against Mr. McCarthy's brother, correct? You testified to?
He had intimated a threat.
Okay.
He didn't specify.
All right. So you've had this information, correct?
I have.
And you've taken out criminal charges against Mr. Hayhurst, correct?
At the completion of the interview, I told Mr. Hayhurst that based on the testimony that I had at that point,
It's a yes or no?
it isn't. It isn't a yes or no.
Did you apply for a criminal complaint?
I summonsed them.
Okay, so that's a yes?
It isn't. It is not a yes.
Okay. You summoned for a criminal complaint, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The criminal complaint issued, correct?
It did.
Okay. So you took out the charge, correct?
I did.
Okay, that was all I was asking. All right. So, that's it, thank you.
Nothing. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Mr. Weicker, is Mr. Demetrius or Scotty present? Which are you?
I'm Scotty Pillar. I'm Demetrius.
Okay. So you were the two bouncers?
I was the manager on duty.
I'm sorry. Who was the other bouncer then besides you, Scotty?
I was. And Mr. Diamantopoulos. He was a bartender.
That's a mistake. You mentioned my bouncer. I was bartending that night.
Yeah.
And
Christian,
can you
if you could
state
just
your
come up.
name, please?
Christian Diamantopoulos. I'm a bartender at Finn's Pub.
How many bartenders were that night?
Either 3 or 4, I believe.
Okay. Scotty, could you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Scotty Pillar, and I run the door at Finn's.
Can you sequentially explain what you saw happen?
I basically already heard what I saw. When Timothy walked into Finn's, he was dressed like a pro boxer. His friends had surrounded him. He was basically stating to be the champ of the world. They walked into the bar. A couple minutes later, there was something going on with Jeffrey, and we basically were asked Timmy to leave, and we walked him to the door. That was it.
Did you see how he ended up on the ground?
No, sir. No, we walked him to the door and let him out.
And, yes, sir, can you provide your version?
I was bartending the way that Finn's Pub is set up. I don't know if you've ever been in there. There's 4 separate stations. I was in the station in front of the jukebox, and I was serving customers, and I kind of had my head down just making drinks, and I overheard an altercation between 2 people. I looked up, and it was Timothy Greenelge and Jeff McCarthy. And I had noticed Timothy getting into a fighting stance, and there was maybe some verbal altercation. I recall Jeffrey saying, you can't do stuff like that. Don't, stop screwing around. And then I put my head back down and finished doing what I was doing because I obviously had patrons to serve. I at that point saw Jeff go over to where Kevin was at the end of the bar. I then saw Kevin and Jeffrey go back over. Kevin had spoken to Timothy saying, you need to leave, you can't be in here. Then Demetrius and Scotty had come over, and they had escorted Timothy out. There wasn't any physical contact, there was no pushing, no shoving. They had just pretty much got him to the door and sent him on his way. And he definitely wasn't cooperative at that point. He was mouthing off to the bouncers, and that's pretty much my version. I couldn't really stand there and watch what took place because I had 10 to 15 patrons in front of me trying to wait on them as well.
Mr. Pillar, did you notice how Mr. Greenouch had a fractured nose?
Walked him to the door. And we went
It's
outside.
a mystery.
Up to the mic, please.
I escorted him to the door with Demetrius, and he went outside the door, and that was it. I didn't go outside. I didn't see anything happen.
Mr. Papa Lewis, I apologize. Mr. Hayhurst has stated that Mr. Greenouch was a punk and got in trouble all the time. But you gave testimony that he's always been friendly with handshakes or hellos.
Personally?
And, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
He said his knowledge of greenhouse has never caused any problems. I would think the owner of the bar and the general manager of the bar would be on the same page. Is he a punk? Is he trying to cause problems? And you're saying, really, not a problem here at all.
To me personally, no. And if it was hearsay that came to me and said, hey, Timmy Greenhouse, I could not pick him out in the crowd if I didn't meet him here.
You're the general manager of Finn's Pub.
I actually am.
He is the owner of Finn's Pub, and you both don't feel the same way about this patron walking in the door?
I couldn't pick him out of a crowd, sir, to tell you the truth.
You couldn't pick him out?
No.
But you just said he always says hello and handshakes.
I meet about 1,000 people a week, sir.
Please.
I'm
Please tell me you just didn't say that.
I do.
Please tell me
There's
that.
2 nightclubs I run, sir. Brian's Ivy Hall and Finn's Pub.
Isn't it your job as general manager to know who your patrons are?
It is.
Thank you.
One has
I'm
capacity.
all set, thank you.
All right.
Welcome.
So I have 3 people up. Don't go away, please. Mr. Weicker, got any questions after we've questioned these people?
Yes. Could either one of you tell me how many people were outside on the street on St. Patrick's Day weekend?
From my estimation, I would say 30 people or so.
And what was the capacity in the in Finn's Pub? Were you at or near capacity?
Not even close.
What was the time of day for this incident?
About 6:30, 7 o'clock at night.
And how intoxicated was Mr. Greenhalgh?
To be combative with me and Scotty Pillar, I would say very. I couldn't smell any alcohol on him, but
If I could, Mr. Dermatopoulos. All right. Could you just repeat what you said?
I was serving Timothy Greenhalgh that night. He usually comes in and drinks Jameson on the rocks. So,
Had he consumed alcohol at the bar?
yes.
Okay. Now, you said that you heard him or saw him squaring off against Tim McCarthy?
Jeff McCarthy.
Jeff
I heard
McCarthy.
I heard a verbal altercation. I had looked up for a minute, and I had saw him get into a fighting stance with Jeff, and I had heard Jeff McCarthy tell him, you can't do stuff like that. Stop screwing around. And at that point, Jeff must have walked over to where Kevin was sitting and grabbed Kevin.
So as soon as he started being boisterous drunk, somebody went and got security?
Yes.
Okay. I have no other questions for you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anyone else, Mr. Weicker, you want to call?
I would call Mr. Finn.
Hello, my name is Eric Finn.
And for the record, were you present on the, what's your connection to the establishment?
I'm a general manager.
And were you on duty that day?
Yes.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you see?
I saw Mr. Greenhalgh. He was bouncing around the bar. He had a boxing outfit on. Must have been him and his buddies. They were all playing a game that night, doing something, running around the city. Something happened down the other end of the bar, down by the front doors. I didn't see who it was. I said to Kevin, I said, he's at it again. 2 weeks prior to that, we had an incident out front where Timmy Greenhalgh had gone after my brother while he was getting into the car with his wife, him and another gentleman.
And for the record, who was it that he went after?
My brother, Jack Finn.
And what happened at that time?
The cops all The cops were coming down the road at the time. It was closing time, and they stopped, told everybody to go home, and it dispersed.
While Mr. Riker's checking his notes, did you report that to the License Commission
What's that?
about the incident out front of the,
It was out front. It was on the street. The cop was sitting there.
okay?
Actually, at that time, the cop said, I said, do we have to call anybody? And he said, no. And if I have to, I can ask my brother who the cop was, because I'm not sure of his name.
When Officer Webb arrived, did you bring him up to see Kevin?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was there anything remarkable about the encounter after that? Or did you stay, or
About the encounter with,
was there anything that struck you as unusual with their communication?
no. He asked him to see his hands, and Kev has fat fingers. I don't know, maybe he mistook him.
All right. I have nothing else.
Thank you, sir. Now, Mr. Riker,
I'd like to call Mr. Hayhurst back.
okay.
Mr. Hayhurst, have you had any contact from Mr. McDonald in the 10 days between when this incident occurred and when a criminal complaint was taken out?
Yeah, he got in touch with me through a mutual party.
And what did he say to you?
He requested money.
How much?
I believe he wanted $20,000.
And what did you respond?
I actually told him to call you. I gave him your number. Said I didn't want nothing to do with it.
I'm sorry, could you say that more clearly?
I actually referred him to my attorney.
Thank you.
And when he didn't get the money, did he come to the bar at any point?
He came in the bar and threatened, he threw a straw at one of my bartenders and told him, tell Kevin he's gonna be eating out of this the rest of his life. Actually, Christian was there as a witness to that happened. He was there when he came in the bar. Yeah.
And is it your intention at any point to give in to this blackmail?
No.
And after you turned him down, a criminal complaint issued against you?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Reagan?
I'd like to get Detective Erickson back up. Thank you. I just had a question. Can you explain the timing of the criminal complaint? How long does it usually take between an incident and a criminal complaint issuing?
After I had spoke with Kevin Hayhurst, I told him that at the point of our conversation, it wasn't, I had not determined yet whether or not I was going to apply for a summons for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. I told him that I was going to make attempts to speak with the rest of his employees and had made arrangements and left voicemails to speak with them. After a number of attempts to try and contact them with no contact, I actually did arrange to have set up a meeting with one female bartender, which she did not show up for. It was at that time that I made the determination to, in consultation with my supervisors, to issue the summons through Lowell District Court. It accompanies, it's just on a stack of paperwork that goes over to Lowell District Court, and it's processed with all the other complaints that are issued by Lowell and Chelmsford and Tewksbury and everybody that uses that court. So those are processed through by the clerk, approved, and notifications are sent out through the mail, US mail.
Thank you.
Do we have another question?
Could I just ask?
No, yeah, I'm sorry. Do we have another question?
Detective Erickson, at any point during your interview with Mr. Hayhurst, did Mr. Hayhurst indicate to you that he was being blackmailed?
No.
Did he indicate at any time that he was being threatened?
No.
So at no point did he indicate that he was under threat from Mr. McDonald, is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Weicker.
And just for the record, you didn't speak to Mr. Greenhalgh until after he says he spoke with Mr. Hayhurst, correct?
Greenhalgh?
I'm sorry, Mr. McDonald. You spoke with him after he spoke with Mr. Hayhurst, allegedly?
Correct.
Okay. And so you're not privy to what happened in that conversation, correct?
I wasn't there when they spoke.
Okay. And tracing the number back, it goes to somebody named Kelly in Tingsboro, correct?
You said that.
Okay. Would you want to call it, just to double check?
You want me to call it right now?
Sure.
Okay. You sure you're right?
Hmm?
You sure you're right?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's public record.
That's absolutely. Okay. Because I'll tell you, I dialed it right before we walked in here.
Did she answer?
Voicemail does.
Oh, okay.
So, but that was an hour ago. She might have answered. She might be watching.
Okay, so can we wrap this part up? The phone wars.
I've got nothing else.
Mr. McDonald, could you please come back up? It's been alleged that you were trying to shake down Mr. Hayhurst for maybe $20,000. Did you do that?
Absolutely not, sir. And I find it absurd that if he was being shaken down for $20,000 and he contacted his attorney, that kind of follows on the grounds of extortion. So I just can't see why his attorney wouldn't file formal charges, for one. For two, if my son was such a troubled person at the bar and is well-known and would sneak by security, his bartender is actually here. I would think that the bartender would recognize him, even if he did sneak by security and say, "We cannot serve you, you're not allowed in the establishment."
Okay, so
Yes,
you're
sir.
denying that you asked for money from Mr. Hayhurst?
I never asked for money, at all.
Thank you.
That's grounds for extortion, and I don't see why his lawyer wouldn't file formal charges on that.
Hang on, Mr.
As an
Weicker.
attorney.
And just for the record, you are the same person who's got a history of violent crimes, larcenies, and and using deception.
Mr. Weicker, let's go straight to the chase, please. Okay?
Okay. So you've committed other felonies, but not this one.
Correct.
Okay. And in all of those, you've denied being guilty as well.
What's that? Excuse me?
Never mind.
No, can you repeat the question?
No other questions.
I have a question for the board.
Stand by. Do you have anybody else you want to call?
No.
All right. Thank you very much. You can have a seat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Reagan, anybody you want to talk?
No, thank you.
Captain Kennedy, got anything?
Not at this time, sir.
Mr. Weicker, got anything?
No. I think all of our witnesses have testified. I would ask that this board look, where there are obviously some very serious criminal charges that are proceeding in the court system. Mr. Hayhurst has been acting against what I would call an attorney's general advice, which is to say nothing while there's an open case. But he felt it was important enough to come forward and talk to you and tell you what happened. Story hasn't changed. And you want to know what? It's not necessarily consistent with what everybody else saw. And that's good. Because when stories all match, they're lies. Because nobody perceives the exact same thing as the person standing next to them. Instead, you have people who say, I know him to be trouble, he's done this before, and he's done this before, and another guy saying, I don't really know him. Well, it happens. All right? People know different people. You focus on different individuals. You have information regarding where everybody was standing, how far they went to the door, how far they didn't. But what's consistent is that every witness says there was no physical contact, there was no striking by Kevin of this individual. And that he did do exactly as this board told him to do, which is to let the bouncers handle it. So once he went over, told the guy he had to leave, he had the bouncers, who you can see are quite large individuals, take the person out. And anybody who's been, well, on a Sunday drinking enough Jameson to be drunk is probably a person with what you would call impaired judgment. On a Sunday at 7 o'clock, drunk, and squaring off with individuals the size of these two is insane. But you've got a person who shows up wearing boxing regalia, all right? Mouthing off, taking up stances, screwing around in a bar, gets told to leave, and then gets in an altercation after he gets outside. All right? The only person who, he didn't want to speak to the police that day. Instead, after the shakedown scheme didn't work, he suddenly put up to coming back and saying, oh, this person did it, and this is what happened, and oh yeah, I was standing there minding my own business when for no reason whatsoever, it just so happens the owner of the bar ran up to me, struck me, knocked me down, and was dragging me out of the establishment. Well, was he striking you or was he dragging you out of the establishment? All right? Was he knocking you to the ground or was he running you out the door? And no, it wouldn't have been the bouncers. It would be the owner because, well, that's where the deep pockets are. And we have his own criminal history of getting into trouble on bars on St. Patrick's Day. All right? Those weekends are bad weekends for Mr. Greenhalgh. That's a history. That's a track record. And we have the example that was set for him, and this is where the crux of the matter lies. My client is being shaken down. He is being extorted by a known felon in the city of Lowell, a criminal with a lengthy criminal record of violent crime, of larceny, and of using deceptive means to commit crimes and larcenies. Not just the larcenies by check, but the larcenies by deception, stealing from people, lying, deceiving in order to get money. And that's the person who was here saying, my son's an angel, he was doing nothing, and yeah, I was really upset. That's the example that was set. Those are the footsteps that are being followed. My client's being shaken down, and yet he stands here and testifies. While he's got criminal charges pending, his story doesn't waver, it doesn't change. Now, interestingly enough, even the person whose testimony was questioned didn't change when he was under oath, didn't change when he was read his rights. Because you know what? When you're telling the truth, the story doesn't change. But whose story did change in this case? Mr. Greenhalgh's. Whose story did change? Mr. McDonald's. Who gave you a phone number to a woman named Kelly and said, oh, that's the number that Kevin Hayhurst called him from? Well, you know his relationship to Kelly. He's admitted to it. The man's a liar. He's a thief. He's a violent criminal. And his kid is a drunk who went into a bar, hyped up in his boxing regalia, started an incident, was thrown out by the bouncers, and God only knows what the hell he did when he was out on those streets, because there were other people out there. All right? And a drunk, obnoxious, I mean, who wears boxing attire and has 7 or 8 Jamesons on the rocks? I mean, what's the point of that? Who says, yeah, I'm going to get up like I'm going in the ring and go drink Jamesons all day and a couple of beers? We're not really sure about how many shock tops. I mean, think about that. That's the problem here. You have an individual who's known to cause trouble, an individual with a track record of causing trouble, raised by a criminal, and now they're doing a shakedown. And that's the problem here. My client stands here and says he's innocent. He's absolutely adamant about that. So that's where we stand on that. Now, I understand that there's a question as to whether or not my client needed to make a phone call or needed to submit a written report. His understanding was that the incident didn't happen in the bar. The guy was simply loud, boisterous, and was removed by the bouncers. That would not be something that he thought would trigger the written requirements. He had spoken to the police right there that day on the scene. Nothing further came of it until after the shakedown. Until the demand for money was denied, nothing further came of this incident. It was done, it was over, until he refused to pay. And that's the problem. So now, yes, did he file a written report within 48 hours? No, I think that's a matter of clear record. Was he required to? Well, not if something didn't happen in the bar. All right, the regulation is very clear. If something happens in the licensed premises or in the parking lots adjacent to and provided by the owner, that they have to file. But there was no violation of law that occurred. There was a drunk, being an obnoxious drunk, who was taken out of a bar. That's not a crime that would trigger a reporting requirement. It's not an incident. It was not something that the police took out any charges for, even though they were right there. Right? Right there. So that's the problem. Did he file a written report? No. I understand that. He knows that. I've given him and my other clients the advice that what they should simply do is get the city of Lowell's fax machine and send a fax every 20 minutes whenever a patron says anything loud or boisterous, so that these allegations can't be brought. Most people tell me that I'm crazy for giving them that advice, but this is what happens when you just assume that there wasn't an incident and you don't file a report because nothing happened. What do you report when nothing happened? Do you report, I was here today, the police stopped by, asked me a question, told them nothing happened? A drunk got kicked out of a bar, and his stepfather is looking for another quick payoff, another crime. And that's where we're at. I'm asking that if there's a concern as to whether or not there was a crime, let the system work. Let the justice system work. Right? Because it does work. Right? That's how our system and our nation is built. We are a nation of laws. We do rely on those laws. We have our systems in place for enforcing those laws. We all have our roles that we play in it. And I understand that there's concern regarding the speed at which the courts proceed, the speed at which sometimes the DA's office has to make difficult choices in which cases to prosecute and which cases to postpone. That's beyond our control. They only have so many people who can prosecute. They only have so many judges who can hear matters. But that doesn't mean that due process should be denied. It doesn't mean that Mr. Hayhurst should be told, well, we're going to penalize you, and when you're found not guilty later, so sorry. I would ask that with respect to anything dealing with criminal charges or that are pending, that this board defer action until such time as the system works. And if he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's not guilty, then he won't have been punished for something he didn't do. I know that the city takes a different view. They're more about, was it the Queen of Hearts? punishment now, trials later. All right, well, I'm asking you not to go down that rabbit hole. I'm asking you to actually stay above it and let the system work. Because when everything comes out, you're going to find that Mr. Hayhurst is not guilty of any crime. Instead, he's a victim of a shakedown by a known violent criminal with a history of larcenies and violent assaults, and a kid who's following in his footsteps.
Thank you.
We've heard a lot of testimony here to run the gambit in different scenarios and some questioning that I really didn't appreciate. But I still have the question how, to be quite frank, do I think Mr. Greenouch was acting like a punk and a tough guy after having a few? I think he was. I really do. But did he deserve a fractured nose, which nobody at this establishment seems to know what happened? Possible concussion, a fractured nose. Ambulance was called. He was brought to the hospital. Nobody seems to have any idea how that happened. Though I do appreciate Mr. Weiker's concern about not having the witnesses here. Mr. Balamotis, Ms. Mendonça, and Ms. Soares, they did give testimony to Detective Erickson that, in fact, Mr. Hayhurst was the person who swung and hit Mr. Greenouch and kicked him on the sidewalk. You're not going to have a chance to speak, Mr. Weiker. You're all set. Thank you. This city should not, will not accept behavior like this. And I believe it's this board's, it's incumbent upon us to set a precedent here tonight. Chairman Krieger, I am going to make a motion that Finn's Pub's license be suspended for 30 days, all days served. I'd like a second on that, please.
Second.
I'd also like to make a motion that Mr. Hayhurst be removed.
I don't think we can have two motions at the same time, but...
Attorney Regan?
So, do you want to take a roll vote?
Let's take the
No, we're not
vote.
yeah, we're going to take the vote.
Yep. And I'll ask.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Attorney Regan, can I make another motion?
Sure.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
She doesn't get to decide.
Okay. I'd also like to make a motion that Mr. Hayhurst be removed as manager of record for both Finn's Pub and Brian's Ivy Hall. And that he divest all corporate interest in both entities. And I'd make that into a motion.
I second the motion, but I'd like a little discussion. Do we have the authority to make him divest, or do we only have the authority to pull him as manager of record? Now, Ms. Reagan.
Our view is that you would have the authority to ask him to be removed from the management of either corporation based on your findings tonight.
Thank you.
So you're saying that we can't ask him to divest himself of his financial interest?
I'm not aware that the commission can go quite that far, but you can ask him to be removed in terms of management and in terms of being the manager of record and in terms of being a corporate officer of any corporation.
I'll amend that then, to that.
Please. All right. Do you have that, Ryan? Do you have the amended motion? The amended motion.
With respect to solely to do with manager removal and
Yeah.
not to do with offices, yes.
Right.
All right. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. With those motions being approved, Respectfully, Captain Kennedy, I would ask that a call be made to the patrol cruiser in that area and that the licenses be removed from both establishments at this time.
We'll take care of it right after the meeting, Mr. Dakota.
Thank you.
Where are we?
Since we're still on the record, I do have to add the following, that you're considering testimony that was excluded as hearsay and which is highly inconsistent. You're relying on the testimony of an individual who accuses Mr. Hayhurst of having consumed 2 bottles of Dr. McGillicuddy's, and yet discrediting the testimony of Officer Webb, who did not note any intoxication. I think that you should not discredit Officer Webb in such a way, and I don't believe that admission of that testimony when the Commonwealth, or I'm sorry, in this case, the city, deliberately did not bring these witnesses. It was their burden, they didn't do it. You shouldn't give them an out for it, or make an excuse or cover up for their ineptitude. And you certainly shouldn't punish Mr. Hayhurst with respect to an establishment that was not involved in this incident. You're alleging that the incident took place at Finn's Pub, and yet you're making a motion to divest him of ownership interest or corporate interest in Brian's Ivy Hall.
Excuse me. The point is, if we don't believe, at least the way I see it, if we don't believe he should be the manager of one establishment, that it would be strange to believe that he should be the manager of a second similar establishment. If he was selling used cars, that might be a totally different license issue, but 2 similar establishments. I think we've done our part. You believe we have done it wrongly. I am assuming you're going to appeal, and we're going to press on. Thank you, sir.
And at what point can I get the written findings for the court?
I'm sorry, what?
At what point will the written findings for the court be ready?
I'm not sure if I understand that question.
You mean the minutes of this meeting?
The written decision of this hearing and the basis for which the decisions are made.
Ryan?
Well, based on tonight's finding and the fact that the complaint is to be served forthwith, the suspension, I should say, is forthwith, then if humanly possible, written notice of decision would be ready, available sometime tomorrow during the working day. Working day would be either between 9 and 5 p.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Mr. Weicker. Number 9, Mr. Wynn.
Executive Secretary report. A special one-day license to dispense wines not issued to Michael F. Daly, Jr. of Uncharted Gallery, 66 Merrimack Street, for an event that was to have taken place Friday, May 9th. Just the short of it is that Mr. Daly and I had conversation on this matter on 2 separate occasions. The last second of the 2 times was this day at the law office. And Mr. Daly understands that if and when an event for which he's requested a license is not to take place, so apparently from what I was told, and I believe you may have seen an email that I received late this afternoon, and I forwarded to you, that the situation at that time apparently did not lend itself to having the need for wine or to dispense wine. So Mr. Daly, in hindsight, realizes that he could have at least notified the office that he was going to pick up the license that evening, but he understands now what would be the best course of action if should a license be approved, and he should not pick it up. He knows what he should ought to do with respect to the office and notifying the commission's office. Second communication was from the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission with respect to its acknowledgement of an agreement between legal counsel for the licensee, the Mill Street Village Inc., and the City of Lowell solicitor, Kerry Regan and Elliot Veloso, had come to amicable resolution on a suspension of license that the License Commission had imposed upon Middle Street Village Inc. last year. And the ABC, because there was an appeal hearing scheduled for this past week, they canceled that hearing earlier in the week. And the licensee, under the agreement between legal counsel for the licensee and for the city, is to serve 8-day suspension, to take effect starting June the 30th, and it will run through and inclusive July 7th. The license shall be surrendered to the License Commission Law Department office, and the business will be closed for that period of time, 8 days, and then an additional 11 days of the suspension is held in abeyance until the end of the calendar year, December 31st. So if in fact there is another complaint against the licensee between now and by December 31st, should that event occur, hopefully not, of course, but the city licensing authority has the wherewithal to impose at least minimum 11-day suspension if the charges or the allegations warrant such. Lastly, we have an application, or two last items, an application by the Slazar Brothers Brewing Company, Inc., Joseph D. Slazar, president. Presently, the business is a beer and wine restaurant licensee at 203 Cabot Street, and the corporation is requesting an all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for the same premises. If a hearing is scheduled and paperwork is in order, commission can go forward and make a decision on if they wish to schedule the hearings. And then, should a license be granted as requested, the existing license at some point would be surrendered to the city.
How many all-alcoholic beverage licenses do we have?
Oh, we have at least 25 available on-premise all-alcoholic restaurant licenses. Actually, I should say, the 25, or give or take that number, would include, you could theoretically have 25 hotels, 25 restaurants, 25 clubs, or any combination thereof.
So do we set this up for our next meeting?
Yeah.
So, okay, so a hearing would be for June the 12th?
Yeah.
Move that we put it on June the 12th.
Second.
Unless you
All
want
in
to wait
favor,
till
say
the...
aye.
You want to wait till the 12th is what you want to do?
12, fine. We'll do it then.
All right, so we'll do a legal notice.
29th?
Yes, the applicant has to notify a property owners of butters.
Okay.
And so,
You have enough time here?
the legal notice could be published on Friday, May 30th.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and that
Yeah.
would give us time to have the hearing in a
Good.
timely way for the June
All right.
12th.
That works, thank you.
Okay. Then there's the application by Salt Inc., Alan R. Marcotte, President, for malt beverage and wine only package store license for premises at 970 Gorham Street. That application is filed and is complete. Just a question of scheduling.
How busy are we on the 12th of June?
I'm sorry?
How busy are we on the 12th of June?
Well, we have two complaints from the superintendent of police. One is against Sundays Incorporated, which is known as, business-wise, as the Red Line Pub. And we also have a complaint against Savannah Palace, both of which have been scheduled for June 12th. In addition, we have the application by Slazar Brothers. So those are the hearings that I anticipate for that
When's the
date.
next meeting after that?
The next meeting after that would be June the 26th.
What do you want to do? I'm okay with either one. It's up to you.
You're okay with the 12th?
I-
Yeah, all right. Let's put it on the 12th.
Okay,
Have agreement.
June 12th, okay. So again, going back to what was just stated about the Slazar Brothers application, a legal notice will be published in the local newspaper on May the 9th, I'm sorry, May 30th, excuse me. And we'll have the hearing on June the 12th. Butters to be notified, and any church, school, or hospital within 500 feet. I believe this application was before the commission and acted upon in December of 2013, and This is the second attempt by the applicant for this type of license.
And is the last license.
This is an application for a license which is for one and only available license, yes, for this type category.
Okay.
Okay? Sounds good.
You want to move to adjourn?
I'd love to make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.